In the previous video, we looked at EC2 key pairs and associating them with instances. In this video, we're going to use a key pair to log into a Linux instance, first from Windows and then from a Mac. Then we will add more Linux users and generate key pairs for them to use. To connect and log into Linux instances, we use the SSH2 protocol. We don't use a password because we provide the private key for authentication. If you are connecting from a Windows laptop or desktop, you will need an SSH client. There have been rumors that Microsoft is planning on adding an SSH client into PowerShell, but that hasn't happened yet. There are many good free SSH clients you can use. For this demonstration, we're going to use PuTTY. You can download PuTTY by going to putty.org and then clicking the link on the download page. You're going to need putty.exe to SSH, but if you're going to be working with Linux instances from Windows, you'll probably also need PuTTyGen, Pagent, and PSFTP, so you should probably just download the zip file containing all of the binaries. First, you will need the public IP address of the instance. So from the dashboard, click on EC2, and then Running Instances, and then make sure your instance is selected, and then go down at the bottom and copy public IP under the description tab. Copy that into the clipboard, and now you have the public IP address for the instance. The last thing we need to do before connecting is to convert our private key file into a format for PuTTY to use. So go to your PuTTY folder and launch PuTTyGen. Go to the Conversions menu and choose Import Key. Now select the key pair file that we downloaded previously and choose Open. This will convert the key into a format that PuTTY can use. Click on Save Private Key and save it without a passphrase. Make sure you save it as a PPK file. Now we are ready to launch PuTTY and SSH into our instance. Open PuTTY, and under the connection category, choose SSH and then Auth. Browse to the PPK file and then click Open. Now go back up to the top and choose Session. In the hostname field, enter EC2-user @ and the IP address of the EC2 instance that we saved before. If this was an Ubuntu instance, you would enter Ubuntu instead of EC2 user. Finally, click the Open button to begin the SSH session. Choose Yes at the dialog box, and now we are logged in to our SSH session. This user has sudo privileges, so just to test that, we can do a sudo yum update to update the Linux packages. To SSH for Mac or Linux, you can simply use the terminal. First, you need to change the permissions on your private key file. Simply type chmod 400 and the path to the private key file. Okay, now we're ready to SSH. Simply type SSH-I, once again, the name of the private key file, EC2-user @ and the IP address of the EC2 instance. Now we've logged in with a Mac. Let's add some additional users and give them permissions to log into the instance using SSH. Type sudo add user and then a new user that you want to add. So I'll just type Wade. In order to give this user remote access, we need to add a .sh directory in their home. Switch to that user, type sudo su-wade. Make the SSH directory by typing mkdir.ssh. You need to change the permissions on the directory, so type chmod 700.ssh. Next, we need to create a file called authorized keys. So type touch.ssh/authorized keys. We also need to change the permissions on this file, so type chmod 600.ssh/authorized keys. This is the file where we will copy the public key for the user's key pair. For security, you should have the user generate the key pair themselves and then send you the public key. On a Mac or Linux, they can just open a terminal and type SSH wade-key gen. Let's name the file wade demo key, and let's not enter any passphrase. As you can see, the public key is named wadedemokey.pub. So this is the file the user should send to you. Windows users can generate a key pair using PuTTY-Gen. Just click the Generate button, and now you have to move your mouse around in a random pattern. Now you see at the top part of the window a box that says public key for pasting into OpenSSH authorized keys. This is the public key that the user will have to copy and paste into a text file and send that to us. Now we need to copy the public key into the authorized keys file on the instance. So let's go back to the instance and edit the authorized key file. Let's copy the public key into the file and save it. Now let's try to log in as a new user and make sure it works. Remind the user that they need to change the permissions on their private key file. Okay, now let's try to SSH. We'll specify the path to the private key file. And now we'll use the new user's name Wade at and then the IP address of the EC2 instance. And now the new user is logged into the EC2 instance. In this video, we have logged into a Linux instance from Windows and a Mac, and also have added new Linux users. In the next video, we will log into a Windows instance using Remote Desktop.